I never expected my life to change while chasing the perfect shot of a red-tailed hawk. The Overland Park Animal Sanctuary stretched before me in autumn's golden embrace, camera equipment weighing heavy on my shoulders. As Kinsley Garcia, wildlife photographer for National Geographic, I'd captured predators across 3 continents. But something about this Kansas sanctuary pulled at me differently. That's when I saw her. A woman knelt beside a makeshift pen, her blonde hair catching afternoon light as she whispered to an injured fox. Her movements held a gentleness I'd only witnessed in the wild when mother animals tended their young. "Easy, sweetheart," she murmured to the fox. "Nobody's going to hurt you anymore." I adjusted my telephoto lens, framing the scene. Through the viewfinder, I watched her examine the fox's bandaged leg with practiced precision. "You planning to sell those photos?" Her voice startled me. I lowered the camera, meeting warm brown eyes that seemed to pierce straight through my professional composure. "I'm documenting rehabilitation efforts. Kinsley Garcia." "Amanda Bell." She stood, brushing dirt from her jeans. Former vet student, current fox whisperer apparently. Former? Something shadowed her expression. Life had other plans. Thunder rumbled overhead as storm clouds gathered with autumn's typical unpredictability. The first droplets struck my lens. "Sanctuary office has coffee," Amanda offered, already gathering her medical supplies. "Unless you prefer getting soaked with expensive equipment." I followed her across the grounds, noting the slight hesitation in her left leg. The office smelled like antiseptic and hope, walls covered with rehabilitation success stories. "You know cameras," I observed, watching her expertly adjust my equipment away from the window. Wildlife photography was my backup plan. Before the diagnosis changed everything, she poured coffee from a thermos, hands trembling slightly. "What diagnosis?" Amanda handed me the cup, our fingers brushing momentarily. "Progressive neurological disorder, fancy term for my body forgetting how to cooperate." Rain hammered the roof now, trapping us in intimate proximity. I studied her face in the dim light, noting the determination beneath exhaustion. "That why you're here instead of veterinary school?" "Can't perform surgery if your hands shake." She sipped her coffee. "But I can still help them heal." "The fox seems to trust you completely. Animals don't judge weakness, they just need someone to care." Her smile held sadness and strength in equal measure. "What brings a National Geographic photographer to Kansas?" "Assignment on Midwest conservation efforts." But honestly, I leaned forward, drawn by something indefinable. I needed to come home. This is home? Born in Kansas City. Been running from it for 15 years. Lightning illuminated the office, revealing shelves lined with medical supplies and rehabilitation journals. Amanda's passion filled every corner of this space. "Running from what?" she asked softly. "Expectations, small-town limitations. The assumption that success means leaving everything behind." I paused. Maybe I was wrong. The storm's intensity forced us closer to the window, watching rain transform the sanctuary into an impressionist painting. "Your work must be incredible," Amanda said. "Traveling everywhere, capturing moments most people never see. Lonely work sometimes. Always observing, never really connecting." I found myself confessing more than intended. "What about you? Any regrets about the path not taken?" "Every day. But regret won't heal that fox. Or the 3 owls coming in tomorrow." She turned toward me, close enough that I caught her scent, something clean and comforting. "Sometimes the path chooses you." Thunder crashed overhead, making us both jump. In that startled moment, our faces were inches apart, her brown eyes reflecting complex emotions I couldn't quite read. "The rain's stopping," I whispered, though neither of us moved away. "Probably should check on the animals," Amanda replied, but her voice held no conviction. We stood there, suspended between explanation and possibility. While autumn light filtered through clearing clouds, something had shifted in that storm-enforced intimacy, something that would change both our lives in ways I couldn't yet imagine. The sanctuary became my daily destination, though I told myself it was purely professional. Each morning, I'd arrive with equipment and excuses, finding reasons to document every aspect of wildlife rehabilitation. Amanda was always there first, moving between enclosures with determined grace despite the tremor in her left hand that seemed worse some days. "Back again?" she'd tease, but her smile suggested she didn't mind my constant presence. "The lighting's perfect for hawk photography," I'd reply, though we both knew I spent more time watching her work than adjusting camera settings. On Tuesday, I noticed her struggling with a heavy feed bucket. Without asking permission, I took it from her hands. "I can manage," she protested. "I know you can. Doesn't mean you have to." She studied my face with those penetrating brown eyes. "Why do you keep coming back, Kinsley?" The honest answer terrified me. Instead, I deflected. Maybe I like the company. Most wildlife photographers work alone. Most wildlife photographers don't know anyone like you. Thursday brought Amanda's medical appointment. She stood waiting for a ride that never came, phone pressed to her ear with increasing frustration. "Transportation service canceled," she explained, hanging up. "Third time this month." "I'll drive you," I offered without hesitation. "You don't even know where I'm going." "Doesn't matter. Keys are in my truck." The drive to Kansas University Medical Center revealed more about Amanda's condition than weeks of careful observation. She directed me through corridors with familiar ease, past apartments whose names hinted at serious diagnoses. "How long have you been dealing with this?" I asked as we sat in the neurologist's waiting room. 2 years since symptoms started. 1 year since they found a name for it. She fidgeted with her purse strap. "Progressive multifocal disorder. Sounds fancy, right? What's the prognosis?" "Unpredictable. Could stabilize for years, could accelerate rapidly." Her voice remained steady, but I caught the fear underneath. "That's why I can't make long-term plans." "Maybe plans are overrated." She looked at me with surprise. Says the woman who travels the world for a living. Maybe I'm rethinking priorities. The appointment lasted an hour. I waited, editing photos on my laptop, occasionally glancing at other patients and families navigating their own medical uncertainties. Amanda emerged, looking drained. "Results in a week," she said simply. "Diner food?" I suggested. "My treat." "You don't have to take care of me, Kinsley." "What if I want to?" Mel's Diner sat on the edge of Overland Park, the kind of place where coffee came in thick white cups and pie was always fresh. We slid into a corner booth with cracked vinyl seats. "Tell me about your travels," Amanda said, deflecting attention from her medical situation. "Antarctica last winter, photographing penguin colonies. Before that, Siberian tigers in Russia." I stirred sugar into my coffee. Sounds glamorous, but mostly it's cold, uncomfortable, and lonely. Must be incredible seeing those places. Would be better with company. Something shifted in her expression. "Kinsley..." "What? Are you flirting with me?" My heart hammered against my ribs. Would that be a problem? I don't know, maybe. It's been a while since anyone. She trailed off, color rising in her cheeks. The waitress refilled our coffee, giving us a moment to navigate the sudden tension. "Since anyone what?" I pressed gently. "Since anyone looked at me like I'm attractive instead of sick." Amanda's honesty hit like a physical blow. Most people see the diagnosis first. I see someone dedicating her life to healing wounded creatures. I see strength and compassion, and... I paused, gathering courage. "I see someone beautiful." She looked down at her hands. "My body's failing, Kinsley. I'm not exactly a catch. Your body's fighting. There's a difference." Our food arrived, but neither of us touched it immediately. The conversation had crossed into territory that felt both dangerous and inevitable. "I haven't dated in over a year," Amanda admitted. "Seemed unfair to start something when I don't know what my future holds." "None of us know that. Some of us have better odds." I reached across the table, covering her hand with mine. "What if odds don't matter?" The touch sent electricity through my entire system. Amanda didn't pull away, but I felt her trembling slightly. "This is complicated," she whispered. "The best things usually are." We sat there, hands connected across worn formica, while the diner's familiar sounds created a cocoon around us. Outside, autumn darkness fell early, but inside, something new and fragile was taking shape. "Walk me to my car?" Amanda asked eventually. In the parking lot, she turned to face me, close enough that I could see gold flecks in her brown eyes. "Kinsley, I need you to understand something." "What?" "If we do this, if we cross this line, there's no guarantee how much time we'll have. There never is." She studied my face in the streetlight's glow. You sure you want to take that risk? Instead of answering with words, I cupped her face gently, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, I kissed her softly, tasting coffee and possibility and the sweet terror of falling for someone whose future held too many unknowns. When we broke apart, both breathing unsteadily, Amanda rested her forehead against mine. Damn, she whispered. Good damn or bad damn? Terrifying damn. I smiled, brushing a strand of blonde hair from her face. Want to find out what happens next? The next morning at the sanctuary felt different. Every glance between Amanda and me carried the weight of that parking lot kiss, transforming routine interactions into something charged with possibility. Camera settings confusing you? Amanda asked, finding me fumbling with equipment I'd used professionally for a decade. Something like that, I admitted, watching her approach with that slight hesitation in her left leg that somehow made her more beautiful, not less. Here. She placed her hands over mine on the camera, guiding my fingers to the proper controls. Aperture controls depth of field. Her touch sent electricity through my entire system. I know how cameras work, Amanda. Then why are you photographing the ground? Maybe you're distracting me. She laughed, a sound that had become my favorite music. Focus, Garcia. These rehabilitation photos could help funding applications. We worked side by side that morning, documenting the sanctuary's success stories. Amanda's knowledge amazed me, her veterinary training evident in every observation about animal behavior and recovery patterns. That hawk's wing mobility improved 30% this week, she noted, watching me photograph the bird's flight exercises. How can you tell? Watch how he holds his left wing during landing. Last week he compensated heavily. Now it's almost natural. She smiled proudly. He'll be released soon. Must be rewarding, seeing them return to the wild. And heartbreaking. You invest months in healing, then have to let them go. Something in her tone suggested we weren't just discussing animals anymore. Maybe letting go is just another form of love, I said carefully. Amanda turned to study my face. Is that what you think this is? Practice for letting go? I think this is me trying not to overthink something that feels right. The afternoon brought rain again, forcing us into the office where tensions I'd been barely containing threatened to overflow. Amanda organized medical supplies while I backed up photo files, both of us hyper-aware of the other's presence. My test results came back, she said suddenly. My heart stopped. And? Conditions progressing but slowly. Doctor thinks I have years before significant mobility loss. She paused. Assuming I can afford the treatments. Insurance doesn't cover them? Experimental therapy isn't covered by anything. $50,000 minimum for the first round. The number hit like a physical blow. There has to be other options. There are. None of them good. Amanda's clinical detachment couldn't hide her fear. But let's not talk about that today. What should we talk about? What happens next? Between us. I set down my laptop, giving her complete attention. What do you want to happen? I want things I probably shouldn't want, given my situation. Like what? Like waking up next to someone who looks at me the way you do. Like making plans that extend beyond next month's medical appointment. She moved closer, close enough that I caught her scent again, like feeling normal for however long that's possible. Amanda, I know it's selfish, asking you to sign up for this uncertainty. You're not asking, I'm volunteering. She reached up, tracing my jawline with fingers that trembled slightly. What if I get worse? What if you don't? What if you get tired of medical appointments and pills and watching me struggle? What if I don't? She smiled, despite the tears gathering in her brown eyes. You're stubborn. So are you. It's why we're perfect for each other. The rain intensified, drumming against windows and creating cozy intimacy in the small office. Amanda moved closer until we were breathing the same air. Kinsley, I need you to know something before we go further. What? I'm falling for you. Hard and fast and probably foolishly. Her honesty took my breath away, but if you're going to run, do it now, before I'm completely gone. Instead of running, I kissed her. Deeply this time, with all the longing I'd been containing since that first day. She responded with desperate intensity, hands tangling in my brunette hair. Your place or mine? I whispered against her lips. Mine's closer. Amanda's apartment reflected her personality, warm and comfortable with rescued animals claiming every available surface. Her cat, Oscar, watched suspiciously as she led me toward the bedroom, rain still pattering against windows. Second thoughts? She asked, noting my hesitation. About a dozen. None of them matter. She laughed nervously. It's been a while for me. Since anyone... We have time. In her bedroom, surrounded by soft lighting and the gentle sounds of rain, we moved with careful tenderness. Amanda's vulnerability manifested in every touch. Every whispered confession of desire and fear intermingled. My hands explored her body with reverence, mapping every curve while she arched beneath my touch with quiet gasps of pleasure. The tremor in her left hand couldn't diminish the way she caressed my skin, fingers tracing paths that made me forget everything beyond this moment, this connection that felt both inevitable and miraculous. When she cried out my name, voice breaking with emotion and release, I knew I'd found something worth fighting for, regardless of what the future held. Afterward, lying tangled in sheets with Amanda's blonde hair spread across my chest, I felt a completeness I'd never experienced during years of solitary travel. No regrets? She asked softly. Only that we waited this long. She lifted her head to meet my eyes. What happens now? Now we figure it out together. Outside, the storm was passing, but inside we'd created something that would weather whatever challenges lay ahead. Within 2 weeks, Amanda's rescued animals had claimed every corner of my apartment. Her tabby cat Oscar supervised from my kitchen counter while 3 rehabilitating. Squirrels chattered from their temporary enclosure near the windows. Your place is officially a wildlife sanctuary, I observed, watching Amanda check morning medications for each animal. Sorry about the chaos. She scattered seeds for the squirrels with practiced efficiency. I can move them back to my apartment. Don't you dare. I like having pieces of your world here. The domestic routine surprised me with its sweetness. Amanda's gentle morning conversations with each animal became my favorite wake-up soundtrack. Her veterinary knowledge turned my sterile photographer's space into something alive and nurturing. But underneath our growing intimacy, I sensed her hiding something. Doctor's appointment today? I asked, noting her distracted mood while she prepared Oscar's breakfast. Routine follow-up. Nothing dramatic. Want company? You don't have to babysit every medical visit, Kinsley. Her defensive tone triggered warning bells. Since when is offering support babysitting? Since you started rearranging magazine assignments to accommodate my schedule. Amanda avoided my eyes. I can handle this alone. What if I don't want you to handle it alone? She finally looked at me, and I caught fear flickering beneath her composed exterior. What if the results are bad? Then we deal with bad results together. You say that now. I say that always. I pulled her close, feeling the slight tremor in her left hand as she gripped my shirt. Whatever's happening, we face it together. The medical appointment confirmed my suspicions. Amanda emerged from Dr. Peterson's office wearing the same expression she'd had during our first conversation about her diagnosis, clinical detachment masking terror. Treatment needs to start immediately, she said without preamble, as we walked to my truck. What treatment? Experimental therapy program. Multiple infusions over 6 months. Her voice remained steady. $50,000. The number hit me like a physical blow. Insurance still won't cover it? Experimental means not proven. Insurance doesn't pay for hope. Amanda stared out the passenger window. I have 2 months of savings left. After that, we find another way. Kinsley, be realistic. I'm asking you to bankrupt yourself for a therapy that might not work. You're not asking anything. I'm offering. $50,000 isn't loose change. True. My photography income fluctuated wildly, feast or famine depending on magazine assignments. My savings account held maybe $15,000, emergency money I'd accumulated over years of uncertain freelance work. We'll figure something out, I said with more confidence than I felt. Like what? Rob banks? Her bitter humor couldn't hide desperation. That evening, I researched everything about her condition, while Amanda dozed on my couch, Oscar curled protectively on her lap. The internet offered clinical descriptions and devastating statistics, but no magic solutions. Progressive multifocal disorder attacked the nervous system unpredictably. Some patients stabilized for decades. Others deteriorated rapidly without treatment. The experimental therapy showed promise in limited trials, but remained financially out of reach for most patients. Amanda was dying slowly, and I was powerless to stop it. "Bad news?" she asked softly, noting my laptop screen when she woke. "Research." I closed the browser quickly. "How are you feeling?" "Tired. The tremor's worse today." She flexed her left hand, frustration evident. "It's spreading to my arm." I sat beside her, carefully gathering both her hands and mine. "The treatment will help. If I can afford it." "When you can afford it. Not if, when." Amanda studied my face with those penetrating brown eyes. "You can't fix this with determination, Kinsley. Watch me. This isn't one of your photography expeditions. You can't just research and plan your way to success." "Maybe not, but I can try." She pulled her hands free, suddenly agitated. "What if I asked you to stop trying? What if I said I'd rather spend whatever time I have left living normally instead of chasing expensive miracles? I'd say that's your choice to make. But you wouldn't respect it." "I'd respect it. I wouldn't like it." Amanda looked at me for a long moment. "This is what I was afraid of." "What?" "You falling in love with fixing me instead of just loving me." Her words hit harder than any medical diagnosis. "Is that what you think this is?" I don't know what to think anymore. Tears gathered in her eyes. "I don't want to be your project, Kinsley. I want to be your girlfriend. You are my girlfriend. That's why I want to fight for you." "What if fighting means losing who we are together?" I didn't have an answer. Outside, autumn darkness fell early, but inside, we faced a different kind of storm. Amanda's illness wasn't just threatening her body anymore, it was threatening us. That night, lying awake while she slept restlessly beside me, I made a decision that would change everything. I couldn't cure Amanda's disease, but I could find the money for her treatment. Whatever it took. Even if it meant compromising everything I believed about myself. The gallery opening buzzed with Kansas City's art elite, champagne glasses catching gallery lights, while patrons admired wildlife photography exhibitions. I clutched my portfolio, hoping someone would offer decent payment for my work. That's when Marcus Price approached. "Kinsley Garcia?" His smile carried practiced charm, expensive suit suggesting serious money. "Your Antarctic Penguin series is extraordinary." "Thank you." "Are you a collector? Art dealer?" "I represent exclusive clientele seeking unique wildlife photography." He handed me an elegant business card. "Perhaps we could discuss a partnership." Partnership meant money. Money meant Amanda's treatment. I followed Marcus to the gallery's quieter corner. "I'm developing a high-end wildlife calendar series," he explained. 12 months of exclusive North American species photography. Premium market, substantial compensation. How substantial? $75,000 for exclusive rights, plus expenses. My heart hammered. $75,000 would cover Amanda's entire treatment protocol with money left over. What's the catch? No catch, just requirement for remote location access. My clients prefer undisturbed wildlife settings. Remote how? Private conservation lands, restricted areas where animals behave naturally. Marcus's eyes held calculating intensity. "You'd have exclusive photography rights while my team handles logistics." Something felt off, but Amanda's desperate medical situation overrode my instincts. "When would this start?" "Immediately. First location scout next week." He leaned closer. "Between us, this could become ongoing relationship. My clients pay premium for quality work." I thought of Amanda's trembling hands, her fear about treatment costs, the way she tried hiding her worsening symptoms from me. "I'm interested." "Excellent. I'll send location details tomorrow." That evening, I found Amanda organizing medical supplies in my bathroom. Pill bottles creating pharmaceutical landscape across my counter. "New medications?" I asked. "Symptom management until I can afford real treatment." Her left hand shook noticeably as she arranged bottles. "Doctor prescribed muscle relaxants for the spasms." "About the treatment costs?" "Kinsley, we talked about this. I won't let you bankrupt yourself for maybes. What if the money wasn't coming from my savings? She turned, suspicious. What do you mean? New photography contract. Exclusive wildlife calendar series. 75,000. Amanda's eyes widened. That's incredible. When did this happen? Tonight, gallery opening. I pulled her close, feeling guilty about my excitement given the circumstances I wasn't revealing. It's enough for your entire treatment protocol. Kinsley, that's too much good fortune to believe. Sometimes the universe aligns. What kind of calendar requires 75,000? High-end market, private collectors. The lies came easier than expected. Remote location photography, exclusive species access. Amanda studied my face. This feels too convenient. Would you prefer I turn down the money? No, but... She paused. Something feels wrong about this timing. Wrong how? You've been freelancing for years. Suddenly, right when I need expensive treatment, a mysterious client offers exactly the amount we need. Her perceptiveness made my stomach clench. Maybe I'm just better at networking than I thought. Or maybe you're not telling me everything. I kissed her before she could probe deeper, tasting her questions and my own mounting guilt. Does it matter where the money comes from if it saves your life? It matters if you're lying to me. I'm not lying. I'm trying to help. Those aren't mutually exclusive, Kinsley. The first location scouting trip took me 3 hours north to isolated conservation, land where Marcus's team waited with expensive equipment and vague explanations. We need documentation of migration patterns, explained his assistant, a nervous woman named Sarah who avoided eye contact. What kind of documentation? Species location, population counts, behavioral observations? Sarah handed me detailed shot lists, very specific requirements. I spent the day photographing elk herds while Marcus's team worked separately, their activities hidden beyond tree lines. Something felt deeply wrong, but Amanda's medical bills created urgency that overrode my investigative instincts. That evening, Marcus paid me $5,000 in cash. Excellent work, he said, counting bills with practiced efficiency. Next location Thursday. What exactly is your team doing out there? Research, conservation efforts. His smile never reached his eyes. Nothing that concerns photography. Driving home through Kansas darkness, I wrestled with growing suspicions. Marcus's operation felt less like wildlife photography and more like something illegal. But Amanda needed treatment immediately, and this money could save her life. At home, I found her curled on my couch with Oscar, medical journals scattered around her like shields against fear. How was the shoot? She asked without looking up. Productive. Got paid today. Already? Most clients take weeks to process payments. This one's different. Amanda finally met my eyes. Everything about this contract is different. Don't you find that suspicious? I find it fortunate. Kinsley, what aren't you telling me? Nothing important. Let me decide what's important to my own life. The space between us filled with unspoken tensions. Amanda's illness was destroying more than her nervous system. It was corroding the trust we'd built, forcing me toward choices that compromised everything I believed about honesty and integrity. I'm trying to save you, I whispered. What if I don't want to be saved this way? What way? With secrets and evasion and money from sources you won't explain. Amanda's voice broke slightly. I'd rather die honestly than live with lies. Her words hit like physical blows, but Amanda's treatment couldn't wait for moral clarity. Tomorrow, I'd return to Marcus's mysterious operation, camera in hand, conscience buried beneath desperate love. Even if it meant losing myself to save her. By the third location shoot, I recognized the truth I'd been avoiding. Marcus's operation had nothing to do with wildlife photography and everything. To do with capturing protected animals for illegal trade. Today we focus on bird species, Marcus instructed, leading me through dense woodland toward sounds I'd heard on previous trips. Mechanical sounds, net launchers, cages. What kind of birds? Endangered raptors. Peregrine falcons, specifically. Very lucrative market for private collectors. My stomach dropped. We're photographing falcon capture? You're documenting conservation efforts. What my team does is separate business. Through the trees, I saw Marcus's crew setting elaborate traps around falcon nesting sites. Professional equipment designed for live capture, not wildlife research. The operation was sophisticated, expensive, and completely illegal. "I want out," I said immediately. "Afraid that's not possible." Marcus's tone shifted from charming to threatening. "You've seen too much. Been paid too much. Your girlfriend needs that treatment money, doesn't she?" The casual mention of Amanda sent ice through my veins. "You've been watching us?" "I research all my contractors thoroughly. Progressive multifocal disorder is expensive to treat. Experimental therapies cost exactly what I'm paying you." "You son of a bitch." "Careful. I'm your lifeline to saving the woman you love." Marcus pulled out his phone, showing photos of Amanda at the sanctuary, at medical appointments, entering my apartment. "Continue working, or she loses both her lover and her treatment funding." That evening, I sat in my truck for an hour before going inside, wrestling with the impossible situation I'd created. Amanda needed this money to survive, but earning it was destroying everything I believed about myself. I found her in the kitchen, struggling to open a pill bottle with increasingly unsteady hands. The tremor had worsened noticeably over the past week. "Bad day?" I asked, gently taking the bottle from her. "They're all bad days now." She accepted the pills gratefully. "Treatment starts Monday if you can make the payment." "About that money?" "Please don't tell me there's a problem." "No problem with payment. But Amanda, I need to tell you something about the photography contract." "Finally ready to be honest?" I searched her face, seeing trust and love and desperation intermingled. How could I explain that saving her life required compromising everything we'd built together? "The client isn't exactly what I described." "What do you mean?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Photos of Amanda at today's medical appointment, timestamp showing he'd been following our movements in real time. Nothing important, just contract modifications. The lies came automatically now, self-preservation overriding honesty. "Kinsley, you're scaring me. What's really happening with this job?" "I'm handling it." "That's not an answer." "It's the only answer I can give right now." Amanda stared at me for a long moment. "You're protecting me from something." "I'm protecting us." "By lying?" "By doing whatever it takes to keep you alive." The next morning brought a knock at my door I'd been dreading. 2 federal agents stood on my doorstep, badges gleaming in autumn sunlight. "Kinsley Garcia? Agent Johnson, Fish and Wildlife Service. We'd like to ask some questions about your recent photography work." My blood froze. "What kind of questions?" "May we come in?" Amanda appeared behind me, supporting herself on the doorframe. "What's this about?" "Wildlife trafficking investigation," Agent Johnson explained. "We're tracking illegal raptor smuggling operation using remote conservation lands." Amanda's face went white. "Kinsley, what have you done?" "Ma'am, we have evidence suggesting Ms. Garcia has been providing location access for endangered species capture." The second agent showed photographs clearly showing me at Marcus's operation sites. "That's impossible," Amanda said. "Kinsley would never participate in anything illegal." "We hope that's true. But we need her cooperation to stop this operation." Agent Johnson met my eyes directly. People trafficking endangered species face federal charges, prison sentences, unless they help us catch the real criminals. Amanda turned to me, brown eyes filled with betrayal and understanding. "The photography contract, the convenient timing, the secret payments." "Amanda, I can explain. You've been working for wildlife smugglers while I volunteer at an animal sanctuary? I was trying to save your life. By destroying everything I care about?" Her voice cracked with anguish. "How could you think I'd want to live knowing animals died for my medical treatment?" Agent Johnson intervened. "Miss Garcia, you have 2 choices. Cooperate with our investigation, or face conspiracy charges along with your employer." I looked between Amanda's devastated expression and the federal agents, realizing I'd created exactly the disaster I tried to prevent. In attempting to save Amanda, I'd betrayed everything she valued about me, about herself, about the relationship we'd built. "What kind of cooperation?" I asked quietly. "Wear a wire. Gather evidence of the operation's scope and leadership." "That's dangerous," Amanda whispered. More dangerous than federal prison, Agent Johnson replied. This organization has connections to international wildlife trafficking. We need inside access. Amanda gripped my arm with trembling hands. Don't do this. We'll find another way to pay for treatment. There is no other way. Not in time. Then we accept that time is limited. I won't accept that. Even if accepting it means losing who we are. The question hung between us like a physical presence. Outside, autumn wind rattled windows while federal agents waited for my decision. Amanda's medical treatment started Monday, funded by blood money I'd earned betraying everything she believed in. I'll wear the wire, I said finally. Amanda closed her eyes, tears spilling down her cheeks. Then you've already lost me. Amanda packed her belongings the next morning while I prepared for the undercover operation. Every item she folded carried the weight of our collapsing relationship. You don't have to leave, I said, watching her gather Oscar's supplies. Yes, I do. I can't be here when you're risking your life for money earned from animal suffering. Her hands shook as she packed medication bottles. This isn't who you are, Kinsley. This is precisely who I am. Someone who'll do anything to save the person she loves. Even if that person doesn't want to be saved this way? Amanda's question had no answer that wouldn't hurt both of us. Agent Johnson arrived at noon to wire me for the operation, explaining the risks with clinical detachment. Marcus Price is connected to international trafficking networks. If he suspects you're cooperating, you're in serious danger. She adjusted the recording device under my shirt. We'll have surveillance teams nearby, but you'll be on your own during conversations. What exactly do you need? Names, locations, financial details, evidence of the operation's scope. Agent Johnson met my eyes. And proof of Price's leadership role. Amanda watched the preparation process from across the room, her expression unreadable. Last chance to reconsider, I told her. Last chance for you to reconsider. We stared at each other across a gulf that felt insurmountable. 2 months ago, we'd been strangers. Now, we were breaking each other's hearts in the name of love. The meeting location was a remote cabin where Marcus conducted business away from surveillance. I arrived carrying photography equipment and criminal recording devices, praying my terror wasn't visible. Kinsley, perfect timing. Marcus gestured toward a table covered with shipping manifests. Today we finalize international delivery schedules. International? European collectors pay premium prices for North American raptors, especially breeding pairs. He showed me photographs of captured birds, beautiful creatures reduced to commodity prices. Your location work helped us identify the best nesting sites. The recording device burned against my skin as I pretended professional interest. Impressive operation. We're shipping 40 birds next week. Peregrine falcons, red-tailed hawks, even a golden eagle. Marcus pointed to financial documents. $2 million in profit from this quarter alone. Who's buying them? Private collectors, illegal breeding programs, fighting rings in Asia. His casual mention of animal cruelty made my stomach revolt. Your photography helped document species locations perfectly. I forced myself to ask questions that would build the federal case, each answer making me more complicit in the investigation while destroying my relationship with Amanda. How long have you been running this operation? 5 years. Started small, local collectors only. Now we have international networks. Marcus poured whiskey, celebrating success built on animal suffering. Your girlfriend's expensive medical treatment is funded by some of the world's rarest birds. Leave Amanda out of this. Can't do that. She's your motivation, your weakness. His smile turned predatory. Without her medical bills, you never would have joined us. I'm here for the money, not threats. Same thing, ultimately. The conversation continued for 2 hours, Marcus revealing details about smuggling routes, customer networks, and financial operations. Evidence that would dismantle his entire organization while destroying my soul piece by piece. Finally, Agent Johnson's voice crackled through my earpiece. We have enough. Get out now. I made excuses about editing photographs, heading toward my truck while Marcus watched suspiciously. Something in his expression suggested he knew exactly what I'd been doing. Kinsley, wait. I turned, hand on the truck door, heart hammering against ribs. You're not a very good liar, he said quietly. What? Your questions were too specific, too interested in operational details. Marcus reached inside his jacket. Nobody cares that much about shipping schedules unless they're wearing a wire. Panic flooded my system. Surveillance teams were positioned half a mile away, too far to provide immediate assistance. I don't know what you're talking about. Remove your shirt. Like hell. Remove it, or I'll remove it permanently. I looked around the isolated clearing, calculating escape routes while Marcus waited with predatory patience. No federal agents in sight. No backup plan for this scenario. Hands where I can see them. Agent Johnson's voice suddenly echoed through the trees, accompanied by rustling that suggested multiple officers converging on our location. Marcus spun toward the sound, giving me opportunity to dive behind my truck as gunshots erupted. Federal agents emerged from forest cover, shouting commands while Marcus's organization scattered through woodland. The confrontation lasted minutes but felt like hours. When silence finally settled, Marcus lay unconscious in handcuffs while agents processed the scene. You okay? Agent Johnson asked, helping me stand. Physically, yes. The recording provided everything we need. This operation is finished. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt empty. Amanda was gone, our relationship destroyed by choices that seemed necessary but proved devastating. My phone buzzed with a text message. Amanda, from her apartment. Saw the news. Are you safe? Another message followed immediately. Treatment starts tomorrow. Thank you for the money, even though I hate how you earned it. I stared at the words, realizing victory felt exactly like defeat. I'd saved Amanda's life while losing everything that made that life worth saving. Come home. I texted back. I can't. Not yet. When? When you figure out who you want to be. The woman who photographs wildlife, or the woman who destroys it for money. Her response cut deeper than Marcus's threats. Outside, federal agents dismantled an international smuggling operation, using evidence I'd gathered. Amanda would receive life-saving treatment, funded by my betrayal of everything she valued. I'd won everything and lost everything simultaneously. Driving home through Kansas darkness, I wondered if some victories were actually defeats disguised as success. 2 weeks after Marcus's arrest, I sat in my empty apartment while Amanda underwent her first treatment session across town. The federal prosecutor offered me immunity in exchange for testimony, but freedom felt hollow without her. The operation extended into 12 states, Agent Johnson explained during my debriefing. Your recordings helped us identify the entire network. What about the reward money? Federal wildlife trafficking convictions carry substantial informant rewards, $100,000 tax-free. $100,000. Enough for Amanda's complete treatment protocol with money remaining. Ironic compensation for destroying our relationship while saving her life. My phone showed 17 missed calls from Amanda's number. I hadn't answered any of them. The 18th call came while Agent Johnson finished paperwork. Answer it, she advised. Running away doesn't solve anything. Amanda's voice sounded weak from treatment, but determined. We need to talk. I thought you couldn't see me again. I can't see the woman who worked for smugglers, but maybe I can see the woman who risked everything to stop them. Same woman, Amanda. No. The woman I fell in love with would never have gotten involved with animal trafficking, regardless of circumstances. The woman you fell in love with would do anything to save you, including destroying herself? I didn't have an answer. Agent Johnson finished packing evidence files, leaving me alone with Amanda's voice and my guilty conscience. The treatment's working, Amanda continued. Tremors have stabilized. Doctor thinks we caught the progression early enough. That's wonderful. Is it? You sacrificed your integrity for my health. How is that wonderful? You're alive. Everything else is secondary. Not to me, not anymore. Amanda's voice broke slightly. I'd rather have 6 months with someone I trust than 60 years with someone I don't recognize. You can trust me. Can I? You lied for weeks about the source of that money. I was protecting you. You were protecting yourself from my reaction. There's a difference. Amanda was right, as usual. I'd made choices based on fear rather than honesty, compromising everything we built together in pursuit of a medical miracle she never asked me to provide. What do you want from me? I asked finally. Figure out who you are without crisis driving your decisions. Then call me. The line went dead, leaving silence that felt permanent. 3 days later, I received a call from Dr. Peterson, Amanda's neurologist. Miss Garcia? Amanda Bell asked me to contact you. She's experiencing complications from treatment. My world tilted sideways. What kind of complications? Severe allergic reaction. She's in intensive care. I drove to Kansas University Medical Center, breaking every speed limit, arriving to find Amanda unconscious with machines monitoring vital signs. Dr. Peterson met me in the hallway outside her room. The reaction was unexpected. Her body rejected the experimental proteins. He showed me charts covered with numbers I didn't understand. We've stabilized her condition, but she needs different treatment options. What options? Newer experimental therapy. More promising results, but significantly more expensive. How expensive? $200,000, minimum. The number struck like lightning. Even with federal reward money, I couldn't afford Amanda's survival. How long do we have to decide? Days. Without treatment, the original disease progression will accelerate rapidly. I sat beside Amanda's bed, watching monitors track her breathing while machines kept her stable. Her blonde hair spread across hospital pillows, face pale but peaceful. I'm sorry, I whispered, taking her hand carefully. I'm sorry I lied. I'm sorry I betrayed everything you believe in. I'm sorry I made choices without consulting you. Her fingers squeezed mine weakly. But I'm not sorry I tried to save you. I'll never be sorry about that. Amanda's eyes fluttered open, focusing on my face with effort. Kinsley? I'm here. The treatment failed? Temporarily. Dr. Peterson has other options. How much? Doesn't matter. We'll figure it out. Stop lying to me. Her voice carried exhaustion but determination. How much? 200,000. Amanda closed her eyes. Impossible amount. Not impossible. Challenging. What aren't you telling me this time? I explained about the federal reward money, the immunity deal, the fact that my cooperation had dismantled an international trafficking network. 100,000 reward, I concluded, plus my savings, plus whatever magazine assignments I can secure. We can make this work. Kinsley, that's still 50,000 short. I'll find it. How? I don't know yet, but I will. Amanda studied my face in the harsh hospital lighting. What if you can't? Then we face whatever comes next together. Even if together is only weeks? Even if together is only days? She lifted our joined hands, pressing my knuckles to her lips in a gesture so tender it broke my heart. I love you, she whispered. Even when you make terrible choices trying to protect me. I love you too. Especially when you call out my terrible choices. Promise me something. Anything. No more lies. Whatever happens, we face it honestly. I leaned down, kissing her forehead while machines monitored the life I was still desperate to save. I promise. No more lies. Outside Amanda's window, winter was approaching Kansas with inevitable determination. But inside her hospital room, we'd found something worth fighting for again. Not just her survival, but the trust we'd nearly destroyed in pursuit of it. The miracle came from an unexpected source. 3 days after Amanda's allergic reaction, Agent Johnson appeared in the hospital corridor carrying paperwork that would change everything. Additional rewards, she explained, spreading documents across the visitor room table. Marcus Price's organization was larger than we initially realized. International connections led to arrests in 6 countries. What does that mean? Enhanced federal compensation. Your cooperation helped dismantle a $50 million operation. She pointed to highlighted figures. Total reward, $250,000. I stared at the numbers, hardly believing what I was reading. Enough for Amanda's complete treatment. Enough for Amanda's treatment plus long-term care if needed. Amanda was sleeping when I returned to her room, but she stirred as I approached her bed. Good news or bad news? She asked, noting my expression. The best news. We have enough money for your treatment. How? I explained about the expanded federal rewards, the international implications of Marcus's network. The fact that my recordings had helped save thousands of endangered animals worldwide. So something good came from your terrible decision, Amanda said softly. The decision was still terrible. But maybe the outcome justifies the means. Maybe. She reached for my hand. When does the new treatment start? As soon as you're strong enough. Dr. Peterson says the protocol is less aggressive but more effective. And, while I'm recovering, I'll be right here, unless you need space to figure out whether you can trust me again. Amanda was quiet for a long moment, studying our intertwined fingers. I trust you to make impossible choices when someone you love is dying, she said finally. I don't trust you to include me in those choices. Fair point. Promise me something. What? If this treatment fails, if my condition worsens, if we face other medical crises. You'll talk to me before making decisions that affect both our lives. I promise. Even if the conversation is difficult. Especially then. She squeezed my hand. Then we try again. The new treatment protocol began 2 weeks later. Amanda responded beautifully, her tremors stabilizing within days. Dr. Peterson monitored her progress with cautious optimism. Neurological function is improving, he reported after the third infusion. Muscle coordination shows marked enhancement. Amanda celebrated by walking unassisted from her hospital bed to the window, a journey that would have been impossible a month earlier. Look, she said, pointing toward the medical center's grounds where autumn had given way to winter's first snow. I stood behind her, arms wrapped around her waist, marveling at the simple miracle of her steady posture. What are we looking at? Future, possibility, time we almost didn't have. 6 months later, Amanda returned to veterinary school, her condition stable enough for the demanding coursework she'd abandoned. The sanctuary welcomed her back as a volunteer coordinator, her experience with illness bringing new perspective to animal care. How does it feel? I asked, watching her examine a rescued hawk with hands that barely trembled. Like coming home to myself. My photography career had evolved too. Magazine editors wanted stories about wildlife trafficking and conservation efforts. My images from the federal investigation became part of a traveling exhibition raising awareness about endangered species protection. Redemption through documentation, Amanda called it. Is that what this is? Redemption? It's whatever we make it. We were planning our future now, something that had seemed impossible during those terrifying weeks when Amanda's diagnosis dominated every conversation. Wedding discussions mixed with career planning and travel dreams. Alaska next summer, Amanda suggested, reviewing my latest magazine assignment offers. I want to see those glaciers before they disappear. Documentary photography or vacation? Both. Always both with us. That evening, curled together on my couch with Oscar supervising from his favorite chair, Amanda pulled out veterinary textbooks while I edited photographs from recent sanctuary visits. Any regrets? I asked, watching her highlight passages about neurological disorders in animals. About the illness, about almost dying, about you lying to me and working for criminals. Any of it. All of it. Amanda considered the question seriously. I regret how close we came to losing each other. I regret that it took near-death experience for us to understand what we mean to each other. But I don't regret fighting for this. Fighting for us. I leaned over, kissing her softly. Even when the fight got ugly? Especially then. Anyone can love during easy times. Outside, Kansas winter painted everything in shades of white and gray, but inside our shared space, warmth and possibility filled every corner. Amanda's rescued animals created constant chaos. My photography equipment occupied every flat surface. And our combined medical bills and federal reward money had purchased something invaluable, time. What are you thinking about? Amanda asked, noting my distant expression. That morning at the sanctuary, when I first saw you with the injured fox. You mean when you were lurking in the bushes with your camera? I was not lurking, I was documenting. Same thing. Amanda marked her place in the textbook, giving me complete attention. Why that memory? Because that's when I fell in love. Not with fixing you or saving you or changing your circumstances, just with who you are. Took you long enough to figure that out. Some of us are slow learners. Amanda smiled, the expression lighting up her entire face. Lucky for you, I'm patient. Lucky for me, you're stubborn enough to fight for what matters. We both are. I gathered her closer, breathing in the scent that had become home, feeling the steady rhythm of her heartbeat against my chest. Amanda's illness would always be part of our story, but it was no longer the entire story. We'd learned to love each other through crisis and betrayal, through medical emergencies and federal investigations, through lies and revelations, and the complicated process of rebuilding trust. But mostly, we'd learned to love each other through the ordinary moments that make up a shared life. Morning coffee and evening conversations, veterinary textbooks and photography assignments, rescued animals and travel plans, and the simple miracle of waking up together each day. Outside, snow continued falling on Kansas, covering everything in fresh possibility. Inside, Amanda returned to her studies while I planned our Alaskan adventure, both of us building toward a future we'd nearly lost. Kinsley? Yeah? Thank you for all of it. Even the parts I hated at the time. Thank you for forgiving me, and for staying. Where else would I go? Nowhere, I thought, kissing her hair as she concentrated on neurological diagrams. We were home.